Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the Super Action Statues JoJo Bizarre Adventure JOTARO KUJO figure, which is the second color version, meaning he's wearing blue rather than black. And I think probably most people prefer this one. I don't know, I kind of like the black one. I do have it. I also have the green one. If you guys want to see those, I can review them. I didn't get the second version of the black, the 1.5, and I also didn't get the pink one yet. But if you do want to see reviews of the other ones, let me know, and I'll try to work them into the schedule at some point. But I do really like this one, and I thought it would be nice to review the second version of this guy since I reviewed the second version of Star Platinum. So, it's a really cool figure with definitely a few issues, but mostly a really cool figure. So, let's go ahead and get it off the stand and take a closer look. This guy stands with his legs spread out just a little bit, just about 6 inches, which makes him pretty close to 15.5 centimeters. You can straighten the legs out. The sculpt is such that it looks better like this, and they're an absolute pain in the ass to move, and I'll show you that when we get there. But that's pretty close to his actual height. And here he is next to Batman. He's a little bit shorter. I suppose that makes sense. Although they're not technically drawn like smaller people. He's only a high schooler. He's only a teenager, so he looks like a 30-year-old bodybuilder, but he's only a teenager. So I guess him being slightly shorter than Batman is reasonable, though people in high school are typically their full-grown height. So I don't know, I'm just making up excuses that it's not 1/12 scale, but it's not supposed to be anyway, so I don't have to. Anyway, aesthetically speaking, this figure is pretty darn good. It looks just about exactly like it's supposed to. Paint job's really clean. We have shading everywhere, paint everywhere. Lots of nice little details throughout the belts, for example, are up here, or they painted all the buttons on his school uniform. The hat's painted well, the face is painted well. We do have a nice metal chain on here to be his chain, which looks really good. They put a nice finish on the shoes to make them look like a different material. That's awesome. The painted grayish white in here is really well done. Lots of shading for the light purple of his shirt. And then his hair has shading, his hat has shading, his hat hair has shading. Exceptionally attractive looking figure, very well executed in terms of the aesthetics, so 9 out of 10. Very, very well done. I like it a bunch. As far as accessories go, this is the original release, so it does come with, and I think this is the case, I'm pretty sure that's how it works. It does have 2 alternate heads for the standard color, the black version of JOTARO, so that's a nice little bonus accessory. Then we do have an alternate head for him. We have the neutral head that comes on him in the package, and one with an ever so slight smirk. Pretty nicely done. Not very obvious that it's a smirk, but it is. As for hands, we have the 2 fist hands that come on him in the package, 2 pointing finger hands, 2 hat adjusting hands, 2 hands with no fingers to tuck into his non-existent kind of there but not really pockets, 2 karate chop hands, and then 2 kind of wide open hands. And speaking of pockets, we have interchangeable thigh plates, which make it look like he has pockets, even though he doesn't really. And then lastly, we have a display stand, which is pretty nice, except though it's not exactly clear. It's a little bit yellowish, so that's kind of a bummer, but it is really old, so it could just be aging. So all in all, a really good batch of accessories. I'll give it a 9 out of 10. I don't know what else you could want out of that. Pretty good stuff. Now, as far as articulation goes, we have a ball peg on top of a hinge for the neck, so it looks up and down. Doesn't look up very far because of the hair and the collar, but it does go down. And then the ball peg on the neck is mostly going to afford just a swivel. His hair does go down his neck pretty far though, and it does get in the way, so you're not going to get a ton of range. Mostly just a swivel, and you have to be careful not to scrape that hair against that collar too hard. But it's good enough. The neck does not move, even though it is a separate piece. For the shoulders, you get a little butterfly joint. It doesn't accomplish a whole lot, but it's there, so what the hell, that's fine. And then you have a little tiny ball hinge, which is just really poorly executed. They did not think this through. You can't raise the arms up very far. This side you can, on this side you can't. I guess maybe if you forced it, but on this side it works. So I guess it's just a happenstance that the sculpt allows it on one side and not the other. So that's kind of a bummer, but it's not like a deal breaker. He doesn't do much fighting on his own, so he'll be okay like that, I suppose. Does of course rotate all the way around, though it's kind of stiff. Be careful with that. And then you get a bicep swivel out of that joint as well, but due to the very not round nature of his jacket sleeve, you can't really rotate anything. You do, however, get a rotation at the bicep joint right here, so if you wanted to rotate the arm there, you can. And of course, it is a double hinge, so you get a really nice range out of the elbow, and you can, though you wouldn't need to, rotate the arm down here on this bottom part of the elbow joint if you wanted to. Little tiny ball hinge for the wrist works nicely. Okay, so as far as the torso articulation goes, it's kind of strange because they describe it as only having a single ball peg going from the lower torso up into the upper torso. But you have this clear delineation between the two parts, and it does move. So I don't know if this is just like a floating piece in the middle, maybe. That could be the case. But either way, it's not a ton of range. It's enough. He leans forward and back, and side to side, and it rotates. So it's fine. I'm not entirely sure what's going on inside, but I don't really care because it works well enough and I'm happy about it. The jacket does have a hinge on it, not the best design in the world, but it works. Gets the job done, so I'll take it. And then we do have a swivel for the waist. It's kind of hard to use to get in there, but it does swivel, though you don't really need it because he rotates around enough without it, but it's in there. It does work. And now for the hips. They're almost completely vertical ball hinges, which means they're an absolute nightmare to pose. Right now you can see the slits are forward, so you can bring the legs forward if you wanted to, but in order to bring them to the side you have to rotate the whole thing, and it's just a pain in the butt. It's not that big of a deal, but it's just something that shouldn't be. I get why they did it. I mean, every company that ever did vertical joints did it because you don't have any place to put the peg in the crotch area, so they put it straight up. And I get it, but it's still a pain in the butt. And as you can see, it's already gotten the legs into weird positions, and I have to try to figure out how to get them out. So it's a pain in the butt. It's not a necessary problem, or a problem necessarily, but it is a hassle to pose. So I don't care for that very much. Like I mentioned, these pieces do come off, and you can swap out the other ones you'll see in the photos at the end, so you can tuck his hands in his pockets, which is pretty cool. I like that. Double jointed knees, really good range. Let's see if I can show them to you better. Raising the legs forward doesn't work that well because of the way his pants go all the way up, so that's a bit of a bummer. But like I said, he's not doing a whole lot of fighting, so it doesn't matter. But really good range there. You can rotate on the top joint, not on the bottom one. And then for the ankle, it's a little ball hinge, not a ton of range, just a little bit, and it'll rotate around, but you don't really get much of an ankle rocker. Just enough to pose him. And then you get a little tiny toe hinge. So again, the articulation is mostly okay, but there's definitely some things that they should update and redo. I'd really like to see them reissue, especially this guy in Star Platinum, because they do have the big versions of them, and the big versions are different, and I'm assuming they're updated. I haven't looked at them too close, but I'd like to see new versions of these guys. I don't see that happening anytime soon, but it's still a really solid figure. So articulation wise, I'm only going to give it a 6 out of 10. The shoulders are a problem, the hips are a problem, and well, I guess that's it. So maybe we'll go 7 out of 10 for the articulation. It could be a lot better, but it's not too bad. So, that's okay. Okay, final verdict on this guy. Just like Star Platinum, it definitely has its fair share of issues, but it comes with plenty of accessories, and it is aesthetically exceptionally well done. So I'm going to give it an overall 8 out of 10. Really, really nice figure. If you're into JoJo stuff, you can't be disappointed with these. They are fairly old, by the way, so that does excuse some of their strange engineering. But I'm pleased with it. It's not perfect. I do wish things were different, but I'm still very pleased with it. I think you guys will be too. So there it is, guys. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please do give it a thumbs up. And if you didn't enjoy this video but made it to the end, well, thanks for watching anyway. And please go ahead and give it a thumbs down if you didn't like it. That's okay too. And if you're not subscribed, you might want to consider it because I do have new videos out just about every single day and thousands of reviews and other videos already on the channel waiting for you to watch. So make sure you come back for that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.